I look good. Yeah. I should add that as like a little split clip. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Elliot Drake, and I have something super special for you guys that's honestly really unique, and I've not seen a lot of people do it. So I'm bringing on and doing an interview with Ethen Ostroff. He is a personal injury attorney. He's so smart. He also has like some knowledge in blockchain and some really cool stuff. And we're doing an interview that's going to switch over here in a second, and he's going to give you guys, the social media marketers and just people that are starting their business, beginners, and give you some advice from someone who practices law and like what things you need to know to protect yourself from partnerships, from, you know, just overall good practices. And I know you are going to get a lot of value from this. So if you're new to this channel, my name, like I said, is Elliot Drake. I'm a 20-year-old entrepreneur. I started an online digital marketing agency 4.5 years ago, and it's grown to what it is today. And this channel is all about helping you succeed online and growing your business. I'm also a partner with a new software called Kennected that automates your outreach and just gets massive amounts of business in through LinkedIn. Super powerful. I have some other videos on it on my channel. Also, you can check out the description for that. I'm as well the founder of landclients.com, which is my education business where I work with people on a one-on-one basis and help them grow and scale their business. Basically just taking all the knowledge from our business and giving it to you, which has been really cool. And this channel is just all about this. Like, this channel and my brand is my passion project because my purpose is in just helping people. So if you guys are interested in following my journey and getting that value, make sure to hit subscribe and like this video and comment what other things you'd like to see. So without further ado, let's switch over to the interview with Ethen. What's going on, guys? So I'm happy to bring you guys this intro with Ethen Ostroff. He is a lawyer, and I thought I'd bring him on this channel to shine some light for you guys from a lawyer's point of view. And I want Ethen to go in first to his story, but he's going to give you guys some tips, some things that you should really focus on to protect yourself from a business standpoint, because I know a lot of you guys are just starting out, and I think it's very important. I'm not a lawyer. I haven't practiced law, so getting his insight for both the beginners and people who are already experienced in business and going down the road, I think is very important. So Ethen, without further ado, man, do you mind just going into your story, how you got into this space, let them get to know you, and then go into some advice that you might want to give them?
Yeah, absolutely, Elliot. So thanks so much for having me on your show, so to call it. Just wanted to take a little time and introduce myself. I did just recently become an attorney. I have been practicing in the personal injury space. I am a trial attorney, so I am sort of like those Suits guys you see on TV. I do actually try cases. I have had a few arbitrations already. I do settle cases for clients every day. And really my day-to-day looks like, I show up to work. I constantly get calls from people who are typically going through the worst day of their life, really catastrophically hurt. And I help guide them through the process of, helping them understand what their rights are, understand whether they have a claim or not. And I sign those cases up myself. Either I'll go face-to-face, travel across the state of Pennsylvania where I'm barred, and sign them up myself, or I will send out a DocuSign and make sure that, we get the paperwork back. And, part of what I do is a little bit of sales, and it's a little bit of working with the facts. And just to give you a little bit more background, I am in practice right outside of Philadelphia, and I really love helping people. So I just appreciate if Elliot having me out here, and if there's anything that I can do to help out you guys. So
that's awesome. Just like a little background, when did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? Like, when was that? When did you realize that?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, my dad is an attorney, and I grew up around it. But it's one of those things that when your parents do something, you kind of don't know that that's what you want to do, and you actually fight it most of the time. But I went to Penn State and was in the advertising major there, and it's very writing intensive. And I knew while I was in it, I was either going to go into sales, marketing, or law. And I made my decision actually my senior year. I got a job at a company in Philadelphia, and I was going to go and be a sales recruiter for a staffing company. But about 6 months later, I got the job actually right when I started my senior year in September. By January coming around, I started studying for the LSATs and sort of fell in love with what I was doing and turned down the job in February, applied to law school in the middle of my senior year and took it in June of 2015. Took the LSAT in June of 2015, got into law school July 2015, and then started, right after I graduated from Penn State. So I went to Drexel right in Philadelphia, and that's kind of my story. I went right through and passed the bar my first time.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So let's just start here. I know we were talking a little bit off camera, and you have some really important things that you'd like to share with everybody. What are some of those key tips and advice that you would give somebody who's just starting out in business?
Yeah, sure. So just to give you a little credibility background, I have dabbled in the blockchain business space a little bit and have contemplated starting a couple of ideas. And most importantly, and what I have learned is you must protect your idea. And what I mean by that is trademark, LLC, copyright before spreading the word. As soon as you come up with an idea, it's not necessarily your idea if you go and tell somebody. So if you don't protect that idea, it is not tied to your name with an LLC. And then if you do happen to want to say, have an investor come on board and try to sell your idea, you must sign into a non-disclosure agreement or an NDA. If they don't sign that NDA and you just tell them your idea and it's not protected, it's as good as gone. It's not your idea anymore. If you tell your secrets to somebody, it's just like if Steve Jobs told the secret of how to build, his first invention of the Mac to somebody that could code on the computer. There's no difference if you go tell somebody your incredible invention that you have. So you got to protect it.
Yeah, 100%. And then also you were talking about from a personal standpoint, going into business partnerships and things like that. What are some different advice there?
Yeah, there's a couple of things I would touch on. First off, you got to hire smart people and not tell them what to do from a practical standpoint. Two, you don't mix emotions with business. You need to base it on solid terms. So if you don't have something in writing, it's just sort of fluid. There's outlines here and there. And let's say you have a partnership, for example, and your partner, you think is supposed to be responsible for something, but they think they're responsible for something else. If you don't have a clearly outlined written business plan before you get started, then you're in trouble and you will have fights later. On top of that, have the hard conversations early and get them in writing. Let's say that you have the idea, you have this genius $1 million idea, but you need help to actually build it. So let's say that it's a software, for example, and you come up with the idea, but you can't code. So you go and hire your best friend who can code. There's a perfect partnership there. You got the work, you got the idea. Does the person with the idea who thinks it's theirs own 100% or 80% of that idea? If they're just say, hey, this is my incredible software, but I'm going to do no work on it. If it's not clear what the equity split, if you're going that route is, for example, or what the responsibility split is before you get started, you're going to run into trouble later on. And it will, if you're friends with your partner, ruin a friendship. And if you're not friends with the partner, you're going to end up in litigation. You're going to end up hiring somebody like me to deal with it later on. It's going to be way more expensive and it's going to potentially ruin your idea. So have those hard conversations early.
Yeah. And also just to add on to that is early when I first started, I had a business partner, and that was something that was a big lesson that I had was we were really good friends. We started on this business idea. We never really put contracts in place or anything like that because we trusted each other. And then what ended up happening was I was doing all of the work. I was bringing all the clients in. And so naturally and it's what happens is I was cutting him 50% check when he wasn't really doing anything. Luckily I didn't get into issues because I had the conversation later, but it burned the friendship that we had had for years. But then, he just went and did his own thing. And then I continued with the company, no questions asked, which I got lucky there. But that is something that I would say is very important and big, and that is overlooked, because when you're first starting out, you're trying to start a company, you and your buddy are like, yeah, we're going to grow this thing. You're not thinking that. But like the biggest thing is whenever money starts flying, everything gets different. And so if you are able to prepare early, it's going to be way better across the board. So Ethen, one other thing to add on to that, because I want to give them some, like if they're on this step, like a lot of people when they're starting out, they don't have the money, right? Like to have to hire you to really write these things out. So what is an affordable route that people can go down to get those contracts in place and set those foundations early before they start making money from the business?
Sure. I mean, really just think of, let's say, the worst scenario you possibly can from every angle. Think of every single one of those things and what that solution is and get it down on paper. So if you have a partnership, let's say Elliot and I, we were in some sort of partnership, and there is something that could potentially go wrong in our contract or our business we're running together. You got to think like a lawyer is trying to stab holes into your business relationship. For example, if it's an equity split, does that mean that you guys share profits? Does that mean that, one person owns it more? Does that mean that one person gets paid more? You got to think, and if it's more than money, for example, if it's, let's say that you guys decide to sell the company. Let's say that Elliot and I start a company. It's not clear who's responsible for what. And a cheap way to get that out is really just start writing. You got to get an outline on paper. If you have something on paper in some sort of business setting, it doesn't need to be written by a lawyer to be enforceable. As long as you both sign on the bottom of it, it's enforceable. So really try to think through the worst thing that could happen in every scenario and just get it on paper, okay?
What would you say, this is just a question from what about Legal Shield? How they're easy, you can go on there and get documents. Would you say that is probably a smarter, the best thing to do, and then just go and edit those different things in there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you're starting a business, you probably have other friends that have started businesses. Just ask them for, let's say, for example, something they use to pitch to investors. If you can get something like that from them, their business plan, they talk to someone, that's one route. If you don't know anybody, check out LegalZoom. Google is now a better lawyer than most lawyers. You can find business plans that exist out there. So, just Google business plan. I'm sure you will find something that exists that will give you some sort of idea to get started. And if you don't know lawyers, if you don't trust Google, then, just try your best to think through things and get it on paper. And just like Elliot just said, to protect against lawsuits, to protect against things, another thing I didn't touch on is really consider liability insurance. You really are at risk. Even if you were running a shop with an actual premises, let's say you wanted to create a cupcake shop and you have patrons that come into your door, you don't have liability insurance in case someone slips on icing, you're in trouble. You're going to be personally liable for that damage, okay? So if you should definitely be thinking about insurance as well and talking to somebody that knows what they're talking about with insurance.
Yeah, that's honestly really important. I'm glad you touched on that. We do. We have that. And one thing also with service-based businesses, especially in the marketing field, one thing that I've found to be the most important thing is obviously an SO, you have your proposal and we agree upon it. But then the real thing is the actual scope of work and the contract of what are the deliverables and things we need from the client, and then here is exactly what we're going to do, the time frame, and being super upfront and clear on everything is very important, because that is also what's going to protect you.
Got to be upfront, got to be clear. I can tell you, I just worked on a contract recently with a potential vendor, and I said things that potentially hurt their feelings because I didn't want to run into problems down the road. And I don't really care about people's feelings as long as they don't screw me later down. And if you don't want to get screwed by somebody, you need to get everything down early and very clearly with the relationship with somebody. If you don't do that, you will run into problems.
Yeah. No, couldn't agree more. Another thing, and we can, and then if you have some other things to wrap up, but I think this would be really important from you being, because someone who has a marketing agency, you would be an ideal client, right? Like you would be, if you're in their niche and they have offers that would serve you because you guys need leads, right? You guys need leads in your business. Whenever you're looking for somebody to work with on that scale, say that a marketing agency came and like they approached you, right? There was 2 or 3 different people. What are those important variables that would make you want to work with them versus their competitors that are also pitching the same thing to you?
Sometimes it comes down to just overall grit and attention to detail. For me personally, I do want to build a seriously scalable brand. I hope one day this is the video that people look to and say, hey, that was the beginning of it. But you know, it's the kind of thing where you got to trust your gut a lot of the time. You got to know who's being honest with you. You got to know who's giving you truthfully, objectively the fairest deal and who's going to work the hardest for you. And if for example, something that I would probably recommend is just do a A/B comparison. If you are very concerned, for example, I would love to cover every single mode of people seeing me. So if somebody is hurt and they want to understand their rights, I want them to be able to find me everywhere. It does not matter where they're searching. I will be the person that they show up with. And if I'm covered on all those bases at the highest possible way, in the most efficient and best way, then if I compare those 2 people, person A, if they don't cover 2 or 3 of those areas really effectively, I'm going to be really worried about it. If they do cover every one of those areas exactly the same, it's going to come down to my gut, who I truthfully like more, who I want to have a long-term marketing relationship with, because marketing is very intimate. People relate to people in marketing, especially when you're buying a trial lawyer like myself. Are you going to buy somebody that is absolutely just a, I'm going to say full of shit, or are you going to buy somebody that is going to go to bat for you and fight for you in court? I have 75 clients that I personally represent. I have personally signed up 80 clients in the last 3.5 months. Do I make any false promises to them? No. I tell them, I can't promise you any money, but I can promise you I'm going to fight like hell for you. And if that's the kind of message that people want from me, and then that's what I need my marketer to understand about me. If they understand that me reaching people isn't because I want to make money, it's because me reaching the most possible people on the planet means I'm helping the most possible people on the planet, then they're getting me. So for person A and person B, person A needs to tell me, I'm going to help you reach the most people on the planet. And I see your dreams and I'm going to get you there. That's what I need to hear.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. And that just comes back to like what I preach all the time is like really understanding what the client's goals are, and then only giving them what is from, you have to understand it. Like what are the things they really need to do to get to where that goal is, like whenever people are like, I see it within the social media marketing space, like people starting out is, and my last video, I just uploaded the 3 important tips. If you guys want to watch it, it would be at the end of this video. If you just click it, so you can go check it out. But like doing research and like really understanding what niche you're wanting to go after and knowing your craft. And because like, this is the thing is most people think like, okay, an attorney, you need Facebook ads. Lawyers, they need, not same thing. Lawyer, they need Facebook ads. Real estate agent, they need Facebook ads. They just are so stuck on that when they don't really understand what service offering is needed per industry, because it's all always different. So it all comes back based on what their goal is. and then serving them and making sure that you give them the right offer to achieve the goal that they really want, right? Because everyone has business is easy. Like all things are easy. If you put it this simple, like everyone has their current situation, everybody has their desired situation, right? The client doesn't care how they get there as long as they get there and they trust that you can really get them there, right? Like you want as many people to see your stuff. Right now, you're just starting on the journey, right? You want to do what you do and you want to spread your message. However you get there, you don't care as long as you get to that end destination, right? Like this is one quote that I always think about is like the global economy ticks on everybody waking up each day and trying to buy a version of their desired self, from the clothes we wear, from the services we buy, from everything. And so keep that in mind with your business, I would say.
I agree. Yeah. Last couple touches, sort of just practical lawyer advice. I do work in a small business. We have 29 employees. I'm the 9th lawyer. At the end of the day, if you're in a service business, you always focus on your clients, not your competitors. If you cater to treating your clients the best as possible, that personal referral from a well-served client is so much more powerful than any ad you can put in front of a new client. And it costs so much less. So if you treat your clients with respect and you know that you could not have done anything more for them, and they know that about you, and that review reflects that about you, that's where you get the true business and the people that really respect you. And really, it's at the end of the day, you just want people to know that you're a kind, good, respectful, and accountable person, and especially if you're in a service business. So,
and also because you studied marketing, and this goes right on what you're saying, what's the most powerful form of marketing?
Don't put me on the spot like this.
No, word of mouth.
Yeah, I would say word of mouth.
Word of mouth is the most powerful. It's inbound marketing instead of always having to, also in my life, if you haven't watched my last video, everybody go watch it.
So thanks for having me on the show, Elliot. And, I really respect what you're doing. And I think that being young and hungry is something that I hope that people respect about me and I respect about you. So, keep going after it and help inspiring people. I think that that's a really powerful thing. So.
Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate you coming on here and helping, give your value and some knowledge to my audience. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you got value from it. I know I did. Ethan is so intelligent, and, I'm happy to have him in my life and to be a friend. So if you guys enjoyed it, please smash that thumbs up button. If you aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next ones.